I Love Boosters is an R-rated comedy directed by Boots Riley. The film tells a story about a group of shoplifters who take aim at a cutthroat fashion maven. I was able to see this movie early a few days ago at the Atlanta Film Festival for its 50th anniversary, the festival, and I had so much fun that whole week watching tons of independent features, going to press conferences and film panels and getting to meet with filmmakers, and I actually got to meet Boots Riley and talk with him a little bit after the film, and that was a really fun experience, and getting to understand what inspired him to make this film and what drew him to this project. So this was one of my favorite moments of the entire night, and I believe it was the final in-person day that I watched this movie. And I gotta say, after watching it, sitting on it, giving some time to think on the film, because I wanted to give it a fair review as much as possible and not be blinded by the hype I felt that night in the room, I gotta say, I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was a ton of fun. I thought the characters were really good. The writing was especially smart. And the comedy, for the most part, worked pretty well. There are some moments around the beginning of the film where I felt like the comedy did not land as well for me. But as the film pushes forward to its second and third acts, the comedy ramped up a whole lot more, and it became a lot more striking to me and surprised me in a very good way, and was able to get the right reaction out of me due to the audacity of the jokes on screen. And how they are timed is just really perfect. There is a sense of fantasy to this film that is all about this fashion world and how the lower class and the higher class are clashing with each other. It worked in really fantastical ways that are definitely not grounded in reality, but in terms of the story that's presented to us, it worked as a bit of good fantasy to escape to. But it's not dumb fantasy. There is a underlying message about the upper class taking what is properly right of the lower class, taking ideas, manipulating ideas, and twisting it into their own version of what someone else made or wanted to present to the world. But it also showcases our main character as pretty much a selfish person who is obviously wronged by our main antagonist, but at many points she cannot see anything else past that. She could only see her own desires, her own wants, and her selfishness is what drives most of the plot forward, without her realizing it was the friends around her that are able to push to get her ideas out there and to be able to reach as far as they do in the film to try and achieve their goals. And so the whole film is a bit about accepting other people's input, other people's ideas, and understanding the importance of a collaborative effort when everyone is able to come together and make something beautiful. And I felt like the message that film was able to tell was able to come across very well with the actions of our characters and what it takes for them to reach their goals, and how their characters develop throughout the course of the story. Another thing that I really enjoyed was the overall production design of this film. This is something that I talked to the director Boots Riley a little bit after the film, and I was really impressed on how the way colors are utilized, the way how colors represent different factions of this fashion world that the characters are living in and how they represent different parts, areas of this world, and how clean everything is compared to the realistic undertones of the reality our characters are living in, and how that is utilized to understand the story, the way the setting and the world building is established. I thought it all worked very well as a very artistic way of getting us to understand the power dynamics of this world. And another thing that I really enjoyed about this film was how much style it was able to have, not just due to its production design, but how it utilizes various forms of filmmaking, whether it's practical effects, visual effects, stop motion. It utilizes so many unique camera tricks and it utilizes so many neat character tricks and techniques for the entire experience to feel fresh throughout. Whenever something new pops up, it presents itself in a very new way that feels in line with the world that our characters are in, and nothing ever felt out of place, no matter how silly or just out of pocket everything is. Which, speaking of out of pocket, the jokes and the things shown in this film, I won't spoil, but the audacity to showcase a lot of these elements that they showed in the film are going to really get some people hyped and laughing. But I could also see some people thinking it is a bit too much and it clashes with the themes a little too hard and it may not work for some people, especially when you consider that the first act admittedly is a bit slow. While I do love the opening scene of the film, and I think establishes the world, our characters, and what they're doing very well, after that opening scene and the credits, I felt like the movie just had a bit of a hard time getting us engaged with the characters. It just felt a little aimless at points, and it felt like the pacing was dragging on a little bit immediately. If I had to have any problems, is that the first act could have been tightened up a little bit. Some of the writing could have been a little bit cleaner, and just overall engaged with the story with us a little bit more than it did. I just felt like the first act was the weakest element of the film. It wasn't horrible. It does establish some things very well, like our main characters and what the goals are and who the antagonist is. But there was nothing there that immediately hooked me into the story immediately. Not until we got to the second act. From that point on, the film was a non-stop fun ride and was a really smart film with a really good emotional core to the story and our characters. But before that, it could use a little bit more work. But overall, I Love Boosters was a really good comedy, a smart one at that, with a theme that is able to tell something that feels pretty timely and universal to everyone. It had great production design, great characters, really fun humor. Overall, I can highly recommend this film, and I think a lot of you guys are going to have a good time with it. So when it eventually comes out in a few weeks, go check out this film. I'm going to give I Love Boosters a B+. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys next time.